Hi everyone, thanks and welcome to yet another virtual meetup hosted by Octane Software Solutions. For those of you who are attending this session for the first time, I'd like to let you know that we conduct these meetup sessions every month, and this is our last meetup session for this year. In today's session, we will be going through the key changes and new enhancements of latest release of IBM Planning Analytics Workspace, and also do a quick demo of the guided planning capability as a part of this release as well. But before that, a bit of an introduction about myself first. My name is Amin Mohammed, and I work for Octane Software Solutions as Senior Planning Analytics Consultant in one of our branch offices in Hyderabad city in India. I joined Octane in 2017, and before that, I have worked as an in-house TM1 developer at Macquarie Group Limited, as well as a Senior Advisory Consultant at IBM. I have a total of almost 10 years of experience in TM1s, spanning across various domains. During the course of my career, I had also worked and led various implementation projects for IBM Planning Analytics, both onshore and as well as offshore, and has been rewarded with many recognitions in my previous companies as a part of that as well. You can find my email address as well as my LinkedIn address on the slide, so feel free to add me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to connect with you and grow my professional career. As for the agenda, I will kick off with introducing the Octane first, and then I'll be covering the following topics in POR and not necessarily in the order that you see here. And the topics are, the first one is the improved look and feel of the overall UI, touching upon the usability aspect of it. Then we will look at the new and reorganized administration page. Then we'll also look at the enhanced visualizations and reporting, followed by the guided planning. We'll also do a demo on this. And then we'll also cover the AI-infused predictive time series forecasting as well. And then finally, we'll wrap up with the Q&A session at the end. About Octane, we are an IBM Gold partner. We have a total of 6 offices, 2 in Australia and 4 in India. The head office is located in Sydney, Australia. We have more than 40 certified IBM Planning Analytics consultants in our 6 offices, and together we have delivered more than 100 projects successfully. Our 4 key areas of expertise are providing the consulting, development, support, and the training services. Our offices in India has 24/7 support center wherein we manage our global clients all day, all year. We also provide the virtual IBM Planning Analytics training sessions. So let's get started with the demo now. So what I'll do is I'll just go back to the workspace link over here. So for that, so just an FYI, so I'll be working with IBM Planning Analytics Workspace version 2.0.57 on local. And I think with this release, as most of you are aware, there are a few significant standout features, and I would like to showcase that in this particular demo. Just as an FYI, again, the latest release currently is, I think, 2.0.59, and that has some few additional capabilities added to it, such as enabling the preview in administration page, the support for iPad as well, which is pretty cool feature that has been added. Then setting the global color palette by the admin, etc. So if you are planning for an upgrade, I would suggest you go for the latest one to avail these additional functionalities as well. So with that, let's get started off by taking a deeper dive into the new experience of Planning Analytics Workspace. So I'll just log in to the workspace now. All right, so the first big change that we would notice as soon as we log into POR is the improved UI, as you can see, and a brand new look and feel of the landing page. The look and feel is now more in line with the other IBM products, giving it a more relatable, if you want to call it, kind of an experience, especially if you have used Cognos Analytics in the past, and then your user experience would probably be more natural and homely when using this latest POR version. In terms of the UI itself, you would see that it actually follows a more carbon design approach, which is actually IBM's official open source system design for all its products and digital experiences. IBM has actually, as a part of this release, unified the whole experience for reporting, the modeling, analysis, and even performing administrative tasks, all from one single place. So, and if you see over here, you have at the top, normally you would have a banner. So I've just disabled that. So that banner is more for us to watch an introductory demo of Planning Analytics on IBM's official YouTube channel for onboarding the new users to PA. So that's more for the new users. You can always open that by pressing the Control Y key, and then it comes back. So I've just pressed Control Y, and that's a banner that you see over here. And to disable or to collapse it, you can just press the Control Y again, and then that gets removed. So you have more screen size when you access this page. So at the on the left, we have a sidebar over here that you see here. The sidebar is accessible from anywhere in PAW. So no matter which page you are in, whether it's administration page or even in application and plans page, you can always access this sidebar, and it is available throughout your workspace, journey. So this actually is helpful with quick navigation to important information in PAW pretty easily as well. So here you will find 4 options. If we are logged in as an admin, which I am, we will see all 4 options, and depending on which page we are in, more options are added, which we will see in later part of our demo as well. The folder and the other objects can now be accessed from anywhere, as I said. Previously, we had to actually go back to the landing page each time to access the books and the views. We can now just click at this personal or the private folder that you see here on the sidebar and access anything saved here, and even drag and drop the objects that are saved here into our canvas without having to leave the page we are working on. Of these 4 options, the first one that you see here is the home. I think that's self-explanatory. This is used to quickly bring us back to the home page or landing page from anywhere in PAW. The next 3 options that you see here are content store related, where the first one is the shared folder. Here we will find all the assets and other objects that are shared by the administrator. The admin can create a new folder here by clicking at this middle icon at the top, and also filter the objects if there are too many objects to scan through, and even sort them as well. So you have all this filtering and the sorting options available in here. Then we have the personal folder, and this this particular folder is where you will have all your users' private assets and objects that are saved. You can always click at this heart icon, which will make this as your favorite, any object or any asset that you have in here, and that will be available in the favorites tab that you see over here. All right. Then we also have the users folder, which is accessible only to the admins, where he can access the personal folders of the users. There is another option that gets added when we create or open an asset, and that shows the list of all the TM1 instances and its objects. So if I just add a new book over here, you would see that there is this database option that gets enabled once we do that. And I just wait for that to come up. All right, so as soon as I have done that, you would see that there are 4 additional options that just got added. So the first one is the database option, where you will see all the list of databases that are currently running in your environment, and you can just expand and see the object tree if you want. Then you have the one which is for pinning the objects. Now, this used to be called as the collections in the previous versions, if you have used that. So that's more for that reason. So you can always pin the objects and access it from here straight away. Then what we have is the visualizations options. So this is also a pretty cool option that IBM has added. We'll cover a bit more on this a bit later. So hang on to this for the moment. And then finally, we have the widgets option, which you are aware, it is used to add the new shapes and objects. So that's all we have at the top left pane. And as I've just shown you, to add a new book, now you have to click at this plus icon, and this is what would be the place to start building your new assets. And this option is also again available from anywhere in the pod. Then over here in the middle, so if I just collapse that, on the middle you see we have 4 quick launch styles. So this can be accessed to quickly perform some of the tasks, and also this is collapsible, so you can always expand and collapse this if you want to have more space on your page. This is actually helpful if you have got too many applications and you want to remove the screen clutter. You can just collapse it and you can give more space to that. So then within these 4 tiles, and by the way, so this is also dynamic in the sense that the administration tile is only available and visible to the admins, whereas the data and models and so this particular tile is visible to the modelers and the admin. So it's much more dynamic. So so we have the first one, the applications and plan style. So this is the one which is used for guided planning, which is a new capability added by IBM. Here we can create the old contributor style plans. We can add steps, invite the users and assign the responsibility, set the deadlines and the submission options. So we'll look into this when we actually do a quick demo of this particular capability. Then we have the reports and analysis tile over here. So this is similar to the old Planning Analytics Workspace landing page where we had all the books, except that this is not represented as the tiles anymore, but as a list view, which is much more compact, if you see, and it reduces the screen clutter as well, and has more enhanced functionalities as well over here. So for example, you have all the filtering option that you can see here. You can even create a folder over here. You can sort your assets by name or by location, by type, and the last modified, and you can always make it a favorite from here as well. So that's on the reports and titles shared folder. Likewise, you have got the personal, the favorites, and the recents to quickly access some of your important objects that you have saved as the favorites. And the recent ones is what you have just recently viewed in the recent past. So those are what you will have in the recent tab. So the data and the models tab, the tile that we have in here. So this is the interface for modelers to build end-to-end financial models, including designing the new reports and the dashboards. And then we also have the administration tile. Now this is only available for the administrators, as I mentioned, and there have been some significant enhancements in this area as well. And it has gone through a complete makeover, if you want to call it. The user interface has been completely revamped, and a lot of functionalities related to the usability have also been added to it. So I'll also cover this a bit more detail in the later part of this session. Then at the bottom, we have 3 tabs. The first one is your application. So any applications that you have previously created, planned, or application, so that will be listed over here. Then we have the favorites tab and the recents tab for easy retrieval of the books and assets that you have recently accessed to simplify the user experience. Yeah. So now let's look at the plans and applications. If I go back, so you have got plans and applications over here, and understand how guided planning capability works in Planning Analytics Workspace. I'll walk through the steps of creating a simple budgeting plan for year 2020 as an example, assuming we are in 2019 example. So to do that, I'll just click at this plans and applications over here, and you will see the list of applications and plans that were created earlier. When you click at that, you can even favorite them, and it will appear in the favorites tab. To create a plan, I will first thing that I'll do is I'll just click at this create button at the top. Here you are presented with two options. There is this option for application, and then there is this plan. So for this one, I'll choose the plan. Actually, there is hardly any difference between application and plan. The only major difference is that in plan, I can add the due dates and the submission process for workflow, which you can't in applications. So that's the difference. So plans are, I think, more collaborative to facilitate typical budgeting or forecasting cycle as compared to an application, which is just for accessing the reports, the views, loading the data, and so forth. So as soon as I select the plan, you would see that the template has automatically been created for me, and all I now need to do is fill out this template here. So the first thing that I need to do here is give the name to it. So I'll just call it as budget 2020. Okay, and then I'll just hit enter. So the moment I hit enter, you will see that the description and the logo options are displayed now. So here you have got an option to add the description and the logo. So these two are optional. So I'll just put a brief description here, and I'll just call this 2020. Just put that. And for the logo, I'll just add a quick image to my application. Okay, so here, there you go. So I'll just add one over here. So that's about it. So now the next step is to add the steps over here. So what I'll do is I'm going to just add the 4 budgeting pseudo steps for this particular demo. The first step would be for adding or updating the corporate assumptions, such as the job-related compensation assumptions or FX rates, etc. The second step that I would add is for updating the revenue. The third would be for updating the promotions and marketing plan. And then final step would be to validate and review the P&L. So if I just add here 4 steps quickly. All right. So first one, as I said, so I'll just call it as update assumptions. The next one is to update revenue plan, and the third one is update marketing and promotions plan, and then the final one is review and close P&L, for example. That's my 4 steps that I have added. Now the next thing that I have to do here is simply update the other information related to each of these steps. So we have got the assets option over here. So here is where we can actually assign an asset to this particular step. We can also assign or give security basis on the groups that are available on PAW for this particular step, so that the relevant team member who belongs to a certain group can only access that particular step. Then alternatively, I can also actually we can set the due date over here and submission option, which is to allow them for submitting the particular step. This is optional. You can just leave it as no, which is the default. So for that, let's just start off by assigning the asset here first. So the first one would be updating assumptions. So there is this asset that has been created for that. So I'll just assign that as a part of that. Then as for the group, I can just assign, so there are a list of groups that has been created in Power. So you can see all the list of the groups over here, and there is a group called corporate. So I'll just assign corporate group access to this particular step. And then in terms of the due date, I can just give 2 weeks for the submission of this particular step, and I'll enable the submission for that. So that's my first step. Similarly, I'll do the rest, do the same for the rest as well. So here we'll have sales. What I can do is analyst. So maybe I can just search. So the next one is update revenue. So if I just search revenue plans, so I can always use the search functionality over here. So I'll just save that, and then in terms of the group, so I'll assign the finance analyst over here to do that. And for the submission, I'll give the same 2 weeks for this one and enable the submission for this one over here. Then similarly for marketing, I'll just give marketing plan asset over here. Give access to, again, finance analyst over here as an example, and give 2 weeks, same, and enable that for that. And finally, review the P&L. So I'll just have a department P&L over here. Access, and here I'll just say manager, and then give here, and then enable that. All right. So now that we have created all the steps, configured it, and now it's time for us to open the steps. So we have the flexibility to open and close the individual steps if you want. So that way you can control which steps you want to give access to for the users to start contributing to it. And finally, once this is done, you can simply open the plan by clicking at this particular checkbox icon over here, and you can see that it has already provided me the number of days that are left to complete this particular submission, the plan. So then finally, I can also add an announcement here. So this is so that people can understand what this plan is for. So I can just put a brief description here. I can just say 2020 budget is probably ready for commencement, complete maybe for design steps for due date. So this is an announcement that I can just simply create, and there you go. So that's the final step to create an application. So let's now go back to the home page, and in the home page you would see under applications now that what we have created. So maybe it's not again, so I'll just go back and refresh. What is it, 2020 details? If I just go here, I can just refresh the plan, probably, yeah. So that way, all right. So your applications forecast. Still not so open contribution. Okay. So ideally, hang on a sec, sorry. Applications. I'll just refresh the security over here. Details. If I just go in here, permissions. So once this has been refreshed, ideally I would expect the application to be showing up in here. I don't know, it's for some reason not, but you can always access the application. So for example, as a user, when he logs in, he would see the list of the applications or the plans that we have just created here right under here. So if it is not visible for whatever reason, you can always just go to the applications and plan. And here is the one that we have just created, budget 2020. So you can just click on this 3 dots over here and then click at open contribution. So as soon as the user does that, so he is presented with this screen where you see the announcement showing at the top on the left pane. So if you see here, a new option has been added here called Plan Sidebar, which was not visible previously, and it has got all the options that user has been assigned to, or the steps the user has been assigned to. So because I'm here as an administrator, I can see all of them. But if an analyst actually logs in, so he'll be only able to see the update revenue plan and update the marketing and promotion as an option over here. So the first one that you see here is the update app assumption. So what I'll do is probably just update few of the corporate assumptions as a part of this. So to do that, I'll just click at this one, and what it does is once I do that, it opens up the asset that we have assigned over here on the right pane. So it's just no. For some reason, it's just showing up. A sec. Introduction. All right, there you go. So here is the corporate assumptions, asset that we have designed for this particular step. So what I can do is I can quickly update the 2020 corporate assumptions. So what I'll do is, for the sake of simplicity, I'll just copy and paste the compensation here as one of the assumptions in 2020, copied from 2019, and then once that's an assuming you have updated all the other assumptions. I'll not go into the details of it, but I can simply update that, and then once I'm happy with that, I can just click at the submit button and put a comment over here saying assumptions updated. Yeah, can't be bothered with the spelling. Yep. Sorry. Yeah, it's fine. Updated, and I click at submit, and then as soon as I do that, I can see that a timestamp has been added over here. And if I go back to the applications over here, which is, it is still not. So if I just go back into the to the plan over here, so if I go to the details, I can see that it has actually been submitted. So it's again some reason not reflecting. So never mind. So I would have expected that this would be updated when I go there. Anyway, moving on. So similarly, I have the next one, which is updating the revenue plan. So if I just click at this one, so here is where I'll be updating the revenue. All right, so it opens up the revenue asset over here. So I can always collapse this to give this more screen size. So I can see that there is already some budget, that is being calculated over here as a part of that. What I'll do is I'll simply increase the unit price by 20% over here, and then this will update my revenue figures over here, and there is a dashboard which also gets updated, and some key KPIs that you can see over here. So let's take a pause here and for a moment review a few of the examples of how IBM has modernized the charts and visualization in Planning Analytics Workspace new experience. So for the visualization and reporting, I think that's one area where I feel IBM has really listened to its customers and business partners feedback and completely modernized the user experience. So it has actually borrowed a lot of cool features from and also the visualizations from Cognos Analytics. They have added much needed, I think, mobile responsiveness that was also key element that was missing earlier to the interface, and added significant number of properties as well to the visualizations, such as being able to add the color palettes and more fonts, formatting, etc. So and additionally, it has also added a few of the charts like the waterfall, the bullet charts, and so forth. So that's also that has been added as a part of this release. I'll walk through a few of the cool additions worth showcasing. I can't cover all of them, but some of the key ones that I can think of. So the first one is a new POW where we can now easily arrange the objects to a greater precision using this grid lines. So you can see that it has actually added the grid lines over here. So you can just now move around your objects and easily place them, and you also have the option to align multiple objects all at once. So if I just select if I go to properties over here, yeah, so here I can just align multiple objects at once. So I've selected these two objects within here within the workspace. So here I can just align them both together. I can put them in the center or on the left as well. So that's one of the cool features that has been added over here. Similarly, for the dashboard, you can now see there are a few options that has been added as well, like the screen size, which now allows you to set different screen sizes for different devices and the resolutions. We can set the layout position to be relative to the page sizes available in the drop-down list, or keep it absolute, regardless of the page size as well. So that option has already been added. So there has been also multiple color palettes that has been added as a part of this. So you can even select different color palettes that are available over here, or what you can even do is you can go ahead and add your own color palette if you want to. So you can give it a name saying my palette. All right, so that's that, and then what you can do is you can just click at one of that, and then it will automatically create a color palette of your choice. And if you are too fussy, then you can always go ahead with the custom one, where you can just give a color of your own choice for each individual boxes over here. So this gives you more flexibility and control over what colors that you want to have added to your color palette. Then what you have is the wheel option, where you can also assign the same thing, but you can give it to a more precision level color that you want to add over here. You can even add the RGB or the HCB color model as well if you want to, and even give the exact RGB code if required. So that's on that. Then we can, if I just go back, the other few things are with regards to the tab. So here you now have the ability to place the tab in different location, in different directions that you want. You can put it on the top, left, and so forth. You can also increase the focus of a particular object that you're working with, and view it in the full screen. So I can just always click at this full screen mode and then see it in a more focused manner. So similarly, I can do the same for the cube viewer as well. So that option is always there. So these. So other than that, we also have other options that has been added, wherein we can now update and customize the charts to get the pixel perfect visualization. So here, for example, we can customize the legend, we can customize the axis over here. So you have all these options that you have that you can update to your visualization and apply that. So that's on that we can even format our chart to show as the percentage over here. So you have all these options that you can play around with. So finally, the other thing that I wanted to show was with regards to the visualization is the ability to now create your own visualizations without having to start with a cube viewer. So now what IBM has allowed us is to create the visualization by selecting the visualizations first, and then add all the necessary information that you want to the visualization from here. So this gives us a starting point with regards to the visualization itself, where you no more have to worry about setting your view to get the right visualization. You can start with the visualization, and then later on what you can do is you can simply add the relevant dimensions to the visualization, and it will build the visualization for us instantly. So for example, if I have to just create one of the stack column visualization, I just selected that, and from my dimensions I can just bring in one of the visualization over here. So one of the dimension over here to the visualization area, and then once I do that, you would notice so you would notice that the fields has already been all right. So that's all right. Maybe I'll just have to put the year over here, and all right, so there you go. So as soon as I've done that, you would see that it has created me a visualization just by dragging one or two dimensions which are required dimensions, and it builds that. And here it has already also added the other dimensions of that very cube as a filter. So I can always filter filter my visualization to reflect the data for different selections that I want over here. And I can even pivot this over here, bring some dimensions from the bottom to the top, and not only select the dimension over here, you have got the flexibility to now even select a particular subset, and also an element within that subset as well. So that's, I think, pretty cool addition, I would say, that IBM has added, because that gives us now a good starting point to build our own visualization from here. So now moving on to the guided planning. So I'll just go back to the applications and plans. So go back to this one, and I'll just open contribution over here. So assuming that we have finished updating the revenue plan, I'll click at the submit over here. It's optional, so I'll just leave it for now, and then move on to the marketing plan. All right. So for this, I would like to highlight here the most awaited capability that has been added as a part of this release, and that is the AI-infused automated time series forecasting capability. So the capability can be used to discover some of the useful insights of our data, as well as the trend and seasonality as an example. The best part is that it is built in, and although it is good to have, but not necessarily the coding skills that is required to do this. In fact, you don't need any data science skills or even familiarity to the basic time series modeling for you to be able to do this predictive forecasting in this Planning Analytics Workspace. So with just few of the considerations that you have to keep in mind, you can just create some very good time series based forecasting into this model. So what the planning analytics will done is it will run a number of algorithms in the backend to predict the most optimized forecasting that we need based on our historical data. So with that, let's see how that works. But before that, there are a few things worth noting as well. So let me just collapse that over here. So a few things that you have to be mindful for when using this predictive forecasting is that number one, you have to make sure that your time dimension is placed across the columns for your time for your forecasting to actually work. You can also have a separate year and month, as you can see here, or even a day dimension, or separate dimension, or you can have a single continuous time dimension as well for this particular forecasting to work. You just have to make sure that it has to be a contiguous time dimension and that it has no gaps, meaning that the end level periods do not have multiple parents. So if there are any multiple parents, then it won't work. The workaround would be to create an alternate hierarchy in Workspace and then use that hierarchy in your view to do the forecasting. So that's one thing that you have to be mindful of. Then you also need, I think, enough historical data for your time series to work. So let's see how it works, in action. So to enable the forecasting feature, so you have to click at this icon over here at the top that says forecasting. So by default, the forecast and the preview that you see here are disabled. To enable it, you just have to select one of the row. You can select either consolidated cell, or you can even do the forecasting at an end level cell as well. Just be wary of the performance hit, because it does spreading. So the more higher level that you will do, you will have some performance implications based on that, on the level that you are doing it. So I can also selectively choose the rows that I want over here, and as soon as I select this, you would see that the scope of it is already highlighting me the number of rows that I have selected on the right here. So for now, I'll just select the marketing total, and then once I have selected that row, you would see that the preview and the forecast options are now available. So I can just start off and see how my forecast is gonna look like. First thing that I have to do is obviously select the start period and the end period. So here I'm gonna select the start period as 2020 Jan, and my end period would be December 2020. So by default, it takes the last period of your time dimension. If you don't select anything, it will be defaulted to that, but you can always just select a different time period from this drop down. So that's the end period that I want to apply my forecasting for, and then here you have the option to preview. So I can just go ahead and preview how my forecasting would look like. Ideally, it would generate a chart over here, but there is a limitation in terms of the charting capability in this right now, wherein if you have multiple dimensions on your column, time dimensions, then the chart would not be generated. It doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It's just that the chart will not be generated. So for chart to work, you need to have a single time dimension across your column. So here, because I've got year and month as separate time dimension, therefore the chart is not generated. But at the end, you can see at the top, you have the prediction accuracy, which is high. So anything which is above 50%, it grades it as high prediction accuracy. Then you have the confidence interval as well, which shows how confident it is with its forecasting that it is going to be generating, and there are a few statistical information that you can see over here. For example, what is the time series model that it is applying? So here it's exponential smoothing. What is the seasonality that it is applying? So here you can see that it is it has found, basis on my selection, that it is a 24 period seasonality over here. Then if there is any trend, it also provides me the strength of the trend. So right now in the data that I have selected, it doesn't show any trends, but otherwise it would show that as well. So this way you can actually see, and if you are too geeky, you can just make sense a lot of information that are presented over here. And if not, you can just simply go ahead and click at this forecast. So what it does is now it is running all those algorithms in the backend, and now it will give me the result saying that it has actually passed. There are no errors and whatnot. So it also gives me a summary of my forecast, and I have also selected this save statistical details as comments. So what it does is it actually saves all the statistical comments to the first cell of my time series in that particular row. So for example, 2020, in here you will see that the comments has already been added, and if I see the comment section over here, so here I can see the summary of the statistical information of my predictive forecasting over here. So that's more on the predictive forecasting capability that has been added. So you can see it has done it in a pretty quick time, so it didn't take too much of time to do that. Similarly, these are some of the new charts that has been added. So there is this line and column chart which shows a comparison of sales, promotion, and the advertising, how they are both comparing against each other, and also the distribution of sales, promotion, and advertising by year. And this is a Merrimack chart, which is also a new chart that has been added. So the final one, I think, in our applications and plans. Okay, so here, sorry, let's go back to this one. I'll just submit this over here. So assuming I've done that, I'm happy with the numbers. You can always change the numbers once you have even predicted it. So you always have that flexibility. So I'm just going to submit it. And then the final one is the departmental P&L review. So here is where I'll just go ahead and review my numbers at a high level. And yeah, so here is where you can see I've added two more newly added charts in the latest Planning Analytics Workspace. One is the waterfall chart showing the product breakdown, and I also have a bullet chart showing how my actuals are tracking against the budget and as well as the target and the previous year actual as well. So it gives a good visualistic format of my data, and I can at any time change the visualization. If I want to, I can even convert this into an exploration if I have to, and do all those kind of things. So I think with that, I'll just simply assuming that this is all good, submit this as well, and wrap it up for now. So I think the key takeaway that I personally found with this guided planning was that it is right now, if you see here, it is much more of a framework at this stage, because even the submission option, it actually doesn't do much except that it just provides some timestamp information over here, and at the main page you can see how much of it has been completed, but as such it's not a proper submission as such. So it's more of a framework that IBM has added as a part of this guided planning, but for it to work as a full-fledged workflow application, I think it lacks for a few of the much needed capabilities like the proper approval and rejection process, email notification, etc. But nevertheless, I believe it's a very good first step in the right direction to reach the end goal, because I think IBM will end up creating this more of a full-fledged planning application that you can use for your workflow as well. So do keep an eye in this space as well, and I would expect and I foresee a lot of capabilities being added to it in the future releases as well. So I think I'll probably stop here because we are almost time, and I want to give some time for question and answers. And I'll open the floor for any questions that we have over here.
Thanks, Amin. I can see a lot of questions have come through. I'll probably go one by one. So the first question I can see is, what happens when we try to use the auto artificial intelligence forecast capabilities in time dimension where rules are already applied to the destination periods?
Okay, so if there are any rules applied, then the forecasting will fail. So the assumption is that it's an editable cell where you are applying that forecasting for. So if it has got any rules, or if it is locked or anything like that, then the forecasting will not be written into it, and it will fail.
Thanks, Amin. The next one I have is, you mentioned that it supports on iPad as well, the latest version, but does it also support for Android tablets as well?
Not at this stage. I think right now it even in 2.0.57 it's not actually available, that the support for iPad. It is in, I think, 2.2.59 if I'm not mistaken, that the latest support has come through. But for Android, not yet. But I'm hoping that in the near future releases it will be. But yeah, I think even having a support for iPad is pretty cool. Obviously, there are a few caveats and considerations that you have to keep in mind when you build your applications that you are consuming an iPad, for the performance side of it as well. So there is a, I think, separate knowledge center article that IBM have dedicated just on the support for the iPad, that I think you should go ahead and look at it. Some good information of it.
Oh, thank you. The next question I have is, when previewing the forecast data, is the data already committed to the database?
No, it is not. I think when you actually preview, it actually uses the sandbox for the preview purpose. So the data is not committed. It shows you the sandbox data. So yeah, you can always just close it, and then when you only after you click at the forecast is when the data actually gets committed to the database.
Right. The next one I have is, can we assign multiple groups to a particular step in application and plans?
Yes, the answer is yes, you can. So if I just go back here, if I go to details, you would see that you can always add as many groups as you want, and basis on the number of groups that you add, the sufficient percentage will divide accordingly. So if you've got 2 groups over here, and if one of the group or the user belonging to that group has submitted, the submission percentage would be 50%, and then when other group submits, then the user that belongs to the other group submits, then that changes to 100%, because there are 2 groups now who are assigned to this particular step.
Right. Okay, the next one I have is, can we update the predictive forecast numbers once the numbers are populated? Is there a way we can update numbers?
Yes, you can. So you once you have those numbers in there, you can always just update that. It behaves just like any other editable cell, so that can be updated. But yeah, I would have hoped that when you do this predictive forecasting, that it somehow gives a different color notation to those numbers, so that we can then differentiate what was the original predictive numbers versus what was changed, so that we can make a cautious call whether those are coming from the system or that has then later been changed by the user. Yeah, that can be changed.
Okay. The next one I have is, how much of history is required for forecasting?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I would say the more the history, the better. Obviously, it needs to have some meaningful history and good enough, historical data for it to work. I think from IBM, what IBM recommends is that you need to have at least 2 times the historical periods that you are doing your forecasting for. So that's how much it is required. So at least 2 years data is also needed for the seasonal patterns to be recognized as well. So that's what the recommendation from IBM is.
Sure. I've got a couple more. Only the admins are able to create the application and plan, or even a normal user can create?
No, applications and plan only admins can create.
Right. Okay. The last one I have is, with the announcement, does it automatically send an email out to the users if their emails are set up in the system?
So that's what. So email functionality is not yet incorporated in this latest application and plan. So no emails actually gets generated to any event that you do, even submission or for that matter anything.
So basically, the users have to log in to see the announcement.
That's right. Yes. Yes. So that's why it's not a very full-fledged contributor style application as of yet. There are a lot of dots that needs to be connected for this to work as a proper
flow. Yep, that's all I have. I mean, I think those are the questions I can see on the chat.
All right, sure. Just so we have, I think, 5 more minutes, maybe I'll just take this time to go through some of the features in the administration tab as well, because we do have some time, right?
Yep.
All right, so I think I wanted to cover this piece as well, but I somehow, because of the lack of time, could not. But if we don't have any questions, then probably we can just look at this administration page and what all changes has been added into this one. So as you can see, it looks more like a dashboard right now, the administration page. So it actually now provides a very good summary of the key KPIs of the P environment. It also gives us the health and status of the models, as well as the number of users and their roles at a very bird's eye view level, and all in one place. So you can get that complete picture just by logging or by accessing the home page. So the database title here, on the administration page shows the total number of the databases in the environment, along with the status summary of all the databases that we have here. And by clicking at this tile, you can actually see more details specific to that particular database. So what are all the environments that are running, and even click at a particular database and see more detailed information of that as well. You can stop the database. You can even download the logs of that particular database. In the alerts, you can set different alerts, and this has got the email capability incorporated in here. So you can just provide an email address, and basis on the threshold, if it reaches that, then it will send an email notification accordingly. Then you have thread management over here as well, and here IBM has added a couple of additional filters to filter your threads, and I think that's pretty cool as well. So you can always just select and unselect some of the columns that you want to see in your threads view. And I think in the configuration, so this is also a very cool feature where the parameters now, if you see here, they are already grouped into 4 categories. And it actually makes it pretty easy to now locate the right parameter very easily by expanding the appropriate group, and then within that group you have got all the specific parameters that are specific to that particular heading that you have here. So you have MTQ setting over here, so that way you can easily set the configuration parameters from this configuration tab over here. And then if I go back here, then obviously you have got the users and groups, which is again pretty cool because it shows the users and also the groups that the users are assigned to. Just by clicking at that particular user, you can see what are the groups that the user is belonging to. You can see the details, what is the role of that user. Similarly, if I go to the groups tab, I can similarly click at the group, and then I can see who all are the users that are assigned to this group as well. So this gives a very good view of how your security has been assigned on Workspace, because you can see it both ways. So that's pretty cool as well. And then finally, that I would want to highlight is the customization. So now this is where you can add your own fonts in the Workspace. So here you can see I have added my favorite WebDings format, which actually allows me to present my my information or the data or the characters that I have in symbols. So I use this pretty frequently, and I'm very glad that now I'm able to even add this format, because previously this font was not available, and in fact now by default it is not available, but you can always go ahead and add this font. And then when you just say, for example, if I just quickly do a quick demo of that, I can just simply add one quick text box over here. All right, so here I can just say SDF, and if I just go into the properties, all right, so here if I select the font family, the web links will now be available over here. So this is the one, and you can see here, although I have typed ASDF, it has now converted that into a symbol. So this way I can use a lot more symbols that are, or the icons that I want, and I'm not limited to the ones that are available in here. So that's another cool feature that IBM has added. So I think with that, I'll probably wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for attending the session. Hope it was informative and enjoyable as well. So I think this was, as I've mentioned earlier, the last one for this year. Hopefully, next year we'll have more, more of these sessions, and we'll try to, demonstrate more interesting topics in those sessions. So till then, I would say thanks for attending, and have a safe next year, and we'll see you the next year. Bye.